Welcome back to another episode of With a Grain of Salt. I am your host, Isaiah Salter, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in for yet another week. Super excited about this episode. I was watching the Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty podcast, and it's Mel Robbins is going on a book tour right now for her new book. I forgot what it's called, but it's about her let them theory, right? And it really, really resonated deeply with me, and I felt like we should do a whole episode on the let them theory and why it's so important to really, really integrate this into our lives so that we can bring more peace and live more authentically and aligned. You already know. So, the let them theory is a mindset concept often discussed in relation to emotional well-being and personal boundaries. It centers on the idea of letting people do what they want and focusing on your own responses rather than trying to control others' actions or behaviors. It emphasizes detachment from the need to control external situations and encourages acceptance. Come on. 4 core principles of the let them theory are: you can't control others, focus on your reactions, acceptance of your true authenticity, and freedom from resistance. I love that. So we're gonna get into some things that go with the let them theory, and we're gonna break them down, navigate them together. You know how we do on the With a Grain of Salt podcast. It's a weekly thing. But the first thing is, let people make their own choices. Everyone has free will and their own path to walk. When we try to dictate or control others' decisions, we rob them of their autonomy and stunt their growth. Allowing others to make their choices, even when we disagree, respects their journey and brings us more peace. That is a fact. You have to be willing to let people make their own choices, especially with people that you love or people that you're close to. It's very easy for you to fall into the trap of thinking that because you think you know what's best for them, you want to control everything that they do. And when they're not doing the things that you feel like they should be doing, it brings you so much frustration, right? And so much stress, unneeded too, right? And the let them theory is about, listen, you have to let people be them. Their reactions, their choices, their habits, what they do with their life is not your responsibility. Take that with a grain of salt, because obviously it's different if you have kids, but we're talking about friends, family, close relatives, people that you're around. You have to understand that people are living their own life, and it will bring you so much more peace and so much less stress when you let people make their own choices without feeling the need to control what they do. Control stems from fear, while letting go cultivates trust in life's process. True peace comes from allowing life to unfold naturally. True peace comes from allowing life to unfold naturally, but it also comes from allowing people to choose what they want to do rather than feeling like you need to control their actions or their perspective or their mindset or their choices, right? Freedom lies in letting go of the need to control. Let them think what they think and be at peace, even if you don't agree. And this is very hard, right? Because when you really, really love people so deeply, you really want to do what's best for them, right? And it can be really, really hard to let them just continuously do what you feel like is hurting them or what you feel like is not the best for them, right? But you have to understand that you have no control over that. So giving that energy and trying to force it is just bringing more stress and frustration in your life. So when you let them, right, let them make their own choices, let them live their own life, you allow yourself to be more at peace, right? You allow yourself to start focusing on things that you actually do have control over rather than things that you don't. Some steps to implement letting people make their own choices. Number 1, recognize when you are trying to control others and ask yourself why. This is beautiful, right? We talk about awareness so much on this podcast. As a human being, you are going to make mistakes. We're all going to fall susceptible to wanting to control what other people do, right? Especially people that we love. All of us do it. But in those moments, it's so important to have the awareness to catch yourself and then ask yourself, why am I trying to control this person's decisions? Why am I trying to control this person's decisions? And then after you figure out why, right? Because I genuinely love them, because I feel like I really know what's best for them, right? Because I can see that what they're doing is hurting them. After you figure out why, then you have to ask, truthfully, do you have any control over what they do? And 10 times out of 10, the answer is going to be no. And you have to act more on that. And also, are they even open to hearing your advice or gaining insight from you? Are they even open to that? Because if they're not, then you're creating even more frustration and stress, right? Trying to force somebody to see something that you see, or force somebody to change or do something that you want them to do, and they don't even want that for themselves. It creates a lot of resistance, right? So recognize when you're trying to control others' actions, perspectives, mindsets, choices. Ask yourself, why am I doing that? Get to the root of the why. Why are you doing that? And once you get clear on the why, you can make decisions moving forward that are more aligned and bring you more peace, right? Rather than creating so much resistance. You know what I mean? And really ask yourself, are they open? Do they even want my direction and my guidance? Because if they don't, there's no point. There's no point. Pause before offering advice or interference. Pause. Before you give somebody advice, before you're quick to butt in, pause and ask yourself, is this even a situation where I should be doing that? Honestly, is this a person that I can truly do that with? Do we have that type of relationship? Because I know in my life, there's certain people that I've been around, especially being an athlete and stuff, where you start to pick up on, this just is not a person that I should even waste my energy trying to give advice to or interfere with some of the stuff. I shouldn't, because they're not open to it. They're not receptive to it. They're closed off. They don't really care about what I have to say. So rather than expending all that energy, that wasted energy, I'm going to pause before I give advice. I'm going to pause before I act. And I'm going to ask myself, is this even worth it? And if it's not, I'm going to have the self-respect and discipline, self-discipline to say, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Even though I love this person, even though I can see what's best for them, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let them. The last step to implementing the first key about letting people make their own choices is practice letting small things go daily to build the habit of release. That is a fact. Practice letting the small things go, right? The small things go. Let's say you're at your desk, you knock over your coffee, right? And you will be so quick to just, pause. Understand it was a mistake. It's okay. Let it go and deal with it. You're driving down the street and somebody cuts you off or does something. Rather than overreacting and cursing them out and stuff, pause, take a breath, and let it go, right? Let them carry on with their reckless driving, and don't let that disturb your peace. Take a breath, right? When somebody says something, right, maybe it's as a joke, but you didn't really like it. Rather than reacting or trying to go back or creating something so much bigger than it needs to be, pause, take a breath, and let it go. And what you're doing is you're slowly building up your ability to let things go that do not deserve your energy or attention, right? So really practice with the small things, the smallest of things, right? Like I told y'all, I life coach the youth. So, 12, 14, all the way up to 20. But those younger kids, they will test your patience. And if you don't have the ability to let go of things, you will get into full-blown arguments with these kids. I see it all the time with other people, especially people in the school system, teachers, administration, all that type of stuff. So kids will teach you how to let little things go because they will irk your nerve, right? But it's a beautiful practice for me to not bite on to everything, to not give everything energy and attention, understanding that I don't need to be doing that. It's a very unstable way to live, and I don't want to live that way. I want to protect my peace. I want to be able to, guard my heart and not expend so much unneeded and wasted energy on the things that are not worth it, to be honest, are not worth it. Number 2 says, accept that others' actions are a reflection of them, not you. This is huge. People's actions are driven by their experiences, their beliefs, and their insecurities, not by your own worth or efforts. Accepting this liberates you from taking things personally. This is everything. So often when we, get involved with people in a relationship, we have people in our life and we want the best for them, right? We want the best for them, or we're close to somebody. We want the best for them, whatever it is. And they do something that we genuinely don't like. We don't think is right. We feel like we know what's best for them, whatever it may be. When they continue to act a certain way, sometimes we could take that personally, right? We could start to get resentful and feel like they're disrespecting us. Man, why can't you see what I see? Why don't you listen to me? Hold on. You have to understand that person is their own unique being, And the choices and decisions that they're making is a result of their past experiences, their beliefs, their insecurities, their fears. Maybe it's childhood trauma or abuse, whatever it may be, past hurt in relationships, whatever it may be. Stop taking things personally so much. So often we take things personal and it causes even more resistance, even more frustration, even more disagreements and arguments. Rather than understand people are their own people. People are their own people, and their actions and decisions are not a result of me. They're not a reflection of me. That's something that's going on within them, right? That's something that's going on within them. And usually what happens is because we get involved with people and we're around people, other people's actions affect us. So because it affects us, we take that personal rather than understanding, no, the reason it's affecting me is because I feel for this person, I'm connecting with this person, I'm close with this person. But just because it's affecting me does not mean it's my fault, or does not mean I need to take that personally, like it's a reflection of something I'm doing. No, you need to take a step back and really analyze the situation and see what's really going on, right? A few things could be running through your mind. Why did this person make that decision and act out that way? Is this something that's constantly happening with this person? And do I need to really ask myself, should I be around this group or this people or this person, right? Ask yourself, talk to yourself this way rather than just taking things personally, internalizing that, and it creates so much inner stress, so much inner frustration, so much overthinking, unneeded. You don't need to. Holding on to others' reactions anchors you to pain that does not belong to you. Release the need for validation. Holding on to others' reactions anchor you to pain that doesn't belong to you. Understand, people's reactions are not your responsibility. People's reactions are not a reflection of you. So holding on to that and expecting them to react a certain way or getting emotionally attached to how they react is causing you so much unneeded pain and so much wasted energy. Let go of your attachment of holding on to other people's reactions. Let go of it. Let people react the way they want to react, and then you make an aligned decision from that, rather than taking it personally and feeling like you got to get into, it's just a lot of ugh. It's just a lot of ugh. That pain does not belong to you. That's beautiful. This is beautiful by Wayne Dyer. He said, how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. Whew. How people treat you, that's on them. How you react, that's on you. And that's what you need to focus on. So often, because we give our power to the external world and to the external people, we allow our reactions to be based off of what other people do to us, rather than understanding what other people do to us is a reflection of them. And I need to I need to respond in an aligned and authentic way that's true to me, rather than reacting in an unaligned way, in an inauthentic way, because of what happened to me from somebody else, because of how somebody else treated me. No, we don't need to do that, because that means you're just giving them the same energy that they're giving you. And a lot of times they don't deserve that, and you don't deserve that from you. Make a aligned response. That may mean I need to step away from this person. I need to take a pause and take a break from talking right now so I don't say nothing crazy. I need to reanalyze this situation, whatever it may be. Do that for you. But understand, how people treat you, that's on them. How you react is on you. Remember that. Steps to implementing. When somebody behaves hurtfully, pause and remind yourself, it reflects them, not you. So often when people do things to us, we take it personal, like we did something, like it's a reflection of us. Understand that if people have unhealed things within themselves, that is what they are going to project onto you. And when you have the right awareness in your life to understand that, one, it gives you compassion for other people, right? And two, it gives you the ability to not take what they do to you personally. No, it is not you. It's something going on within them. It's something going on within them. And rather than taking that personally and internalizing that and, and going back and forth with them, take a pause and understand, they're just projecting. They just have certain things within themselves that is coming out onto me. Now, what I'm going to do, because I have self-love and self-respect, is I'm not going to just stay around that and let people just dump, right? I'm going to have to maneuver and shift accordingly. But what I'm not going to do is react and take things personal based off of what other people do. We're not going to do that, even if it hurts. Even if it hurts, right? Hurt people hurt people. Remember that. Hurt people hurt people. So if you get involved with somebody or around people where they are, doing things or they've done things to you that, hurt you incredibly deep, and it was hard to navigate, hard to get over, whatever it may be, understand that is not a reflection of you. That is a projection of them. And rather than taking that personally, take a step back and understand, okay, why did I get involved with this person? How can I, moving forward, be more mindful of who I'm being around and who I'm getting involved with? And how can I stay authentic and aligned, right? Those are the type of stances you need to take. And that brings in so much more peace, right? So much more peace. Reflect on your triggers and work on self-awareness. That is huge. That is huge. Understand, we all have triggers. We all have things that people can do or things that people can say, whatever it may be, that can trigger us. Reflect on them. Reflect on them. Have the awareness to see that you have certain triggers and then reflect on them and work through them, right? Rather than feeling like, oh, it's just a trigger, I just have to accept it. No. You can work with it. And it don't have to be a trigger for the rest of your life. You can work through it, whether it's through journaling, whether it's through talking to people, whether it's through practicing self-awareness, emotional regularity, emotional intelligence, whatever it may be. Understanding who you're around when you feel triggered and maneuvering accordingly, right? All these things. Journal daily to separate your feelings from others' actions. That's so true. So often, what people do in that moment, they don't deserve a reaction. They don't deserve your energy or a response. Take that to your journal. Take that to the people that you trust to talk to, right? Take that into your meditation. Take that into your prayer. A lot of times the situations we're in do not need an immediate reaction. And we need to take a step back and take that energy that we would have wasted on that person or that situation and go transmute it into a healthy practice, right? Like prayer, like meditation, like journaling, like talking with somebody you trust, right? Like a voice memo, whatever it may be. All right, and this leads us right into number 3. Preserve your energy not by engaging in unnecessary battles. Many arguments arise from the need to be right. However, inner peace is worth more than winning trivial disputes. Letting people hold their opinions without confrontation saves mental and emotional energy. Whew. Let them. Let them believe what they want to believe. Let them think what they want to think. Let them have the perspective that they want to have without feeling the need to get in between that, without feeling the need to change them, without feeling the need to be right in a situation. Let people do what they want to do. It will save you so much peace. Save you so much stress. It will save you so much energy when you do that. It will. It really, really, really will. Let people hold their opinions without feeling the need to change it. That will save you so much mental and emotional energy, right? You got to let people do that. You have to let people do that. When I really, really started, right, it was the book, The 4 Agreements. If you haven't read it, please go read it. The book of 4 Agreements really changed my life, and it was one agreement in particular that really, really hit a chord with me, struck a chord. And it was, don't take things personally. When I really started to implement that into my life, everything changed for me. Everything changed for me. And all you need is one thing in order to do that. Awareness. You need to have awareness in your life so that you can become aware of when somebody says something, somebody's doing something, there's an argument going on, there's a disagreement, whatever it is, and feel yourself wanting to be right, but have the awareness to say, you know what? I see that. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. When I really started to implement that, my life became so much more peaceful. And it's a beautiful thing, too, when you really catch yourself. You see yourself being able to not indulge in an argument or a disagreement like you once would have. You see yourself being okay or being able to take a step away from needing to be right and allowing somebody to feel like they're right or allowing somebody to stay in their perspective or their mindset. It's a beautiful thing, and that's when you know you're growing. right? And it really does save you so much peace. Like, yo, sometimes like these arguments we be getting into, these back and forths, they cause so much stress and frustration, and they're so worthless. Like, some of the stuff we be arguing over as humans, as individuals, is crazy. It really is. And I'm speaking from experience. Sometimes I look back, and the way, I would get so heated over the littlest things. I'm like, bro, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And as you grow and mature and your self-love and self-respect grows, you're not going to want to do that. You're not going to be so willing to indulge in pointless arguments and stuff. You're going to let people believe what they want to believe, think what they want to think, do what they want to do, without feeling the need to get in between that and control that. And so much more peace will come into your life when you do that. Truly, so much peace will come into your life. It says, you conserve energy by choosing peace over proving a point. Disengagement is sometimes the highest form of wisdom. True wisdom is not just how much you know. True wisdom is understanding when to say stuff and who to say stuff to. Truly. Disengagement, not saying something, not engaging in a conversation or an argument, is one of the highest forms of true wisdom. It really is. A wise man once said nothing at all, because sometimes the wisest thing you can do is not do anything. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is not do anything. So often we live in a society where we think wisdom means speaking or action or doing something. But sometimes true wisdom, the highest form of wisdom, is disengagement, not doing anything at all. Understanding, seeing the situation for what it is, and having the wisdom to say, you know what? I don't even need to touch this. I don't need to touch this. I don't need to touch this, right? I don't need to touch this. Then that's where you have to really, really have some self-dialogue and figure out where am I rooted? Am I rooted in my ego and my pride, or am I rooted truly in my spirit? Because ego and pride is going to need to be right? So it's going to be like, I know better than this person, so I have to tell them this. Spirit says, listen, we're trying to flow gracefully, and we're trying to live our life rooted in peace and authenticity. I don't need to be right. I don't need to be understood. This situation does not deserve my energy. I'm going to walk away gracefully. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited into. Ooh. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. That is a bar. You always have a choice. Just because somebody approaches you and they want to, reel you into an argument or into a disagreement or whatever it is, you need to ask yourself, is this even worth it? And just because somebody invited you into an argument does not mean you have to attend. Understand that. So often we live in this society where it's like, because they do this, we have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say something to that person. You don't have to argue. You don't have to indulge into that conversation. You always have a choice. You always have a choice, right? And what you always need to be focused on is, how can I make the aligned and authentic choices in everything that I do? So when it comes to getting involved in conversations, talking with people, disagreements, arguments, whatever it is, ask yourself, is this aligned, and is this true to who I am? And if it's not, I'm not attending this party. I'm not attending this seminar going on over here. I'm not getting involved in that. Nah, we protecting the peace. We are protecting the peace. It says winning the battle often means walking away. Whew. This is gonna ruffle some feathers in our society, right? Because in our egotistical society, we think winning means you got to stomp on everybody, you got to knock the next man down, you got to overcome. Sometimes winning means walking away. True winning, right? Like we said earlier, true wisdom is understanding not just what to say, but also who to say, and also when to engage and when not to engage. Winning the battle often means walking away, right? In the short term, people can say what they want. Oh, you walked away. Oh, you did it. But in the long term, you gained mental clarity, emotional peace, right? Less stress. That's a beautiful thing. That's a win. That is a win. They could be right in the moment. They could have this battle. I'm walking away, because that's the true win in life. Winning the battle often means walking away. Some steps to implement. Identify situations where you feel compelled to argue and pause before responding. This will change your life. I'm telling you, it will change your life. There's this thing. So how we grow up is we usually, we're in our society, it's something happens and then we have a reaction. Something happens, reaction. Something happens, reaction. What awareness allows you to do is it allows you to bring pause in between something happening and there being a reaction, right? And that pause is called awareness. And if you're able to start focusing more on that pause rather than what happens and then a reaction, your life will change. Because what's going to start happening is things are going to happen. You're going to take a pause with awareness, and then you're going to intentionally make an aligned response rather than an unaligned reaction. Your life will change. So, identify situations where you feel compelled to argue and pause before responding. And that pause is called awareness. And everything will change. And really practice this. And understand you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have times where you fall into it. I still do it to this day, right? You just get better at it. You just get better at it. So really, really bring awareness into your life. Be intentional and focus on pausing before you respond rather than just reacting. All right? Rather than just reacting. Number 2, ask yourself, is the outcome of this argument or situation truly, truly worth it? Does it truly matter? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself if the outcome of this argument or situation truly matters. And if it don't, let it go. Let them believe what they want to believe. Let them think what they want to think. Let them do what they want to do. Let them. Let them. Ask yourself, does it truly matter? And if it don't truly matter, we gone. That simple. We're gone. Choose silence or a calm statement to disengage. Sometimes silence speaks the loudest, right? Sometimes silence speaks the loudest. You know, so we're so quick to want to say something or prove our point, but sometimes you just need to practice being silent, and that will speak for itself. That will be the loudest thing in the room. So practice silence. Choose silence. And if you're going to say something, be calm. Be calm. Speak from a place of inner peace rather than a place of inner turmoil. Speak from a place of spirit rather than from a place of pride and ego. Right? Choose and be very intentional with your choices. Number 4 says practice radical acceptance of reality. Practice radical acceptance of reality. Radical acceptance means seeing life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Resisting reality only creates suffering, while accepting brings clarity and strength. Whew. Accepting life as it is rather than how we wish it to be. Accept people as they are rather than how we wish them to be. That will save you so much stress and frustration when you just operate from a place of accepting people for who they actually are rather than who I wish them to be. So often we stay involved with people and situations because we're emotionally attached to the version of this person or to this thing that we have in our mind rather than taking the stance and having the awareness to see what they actually are, who they actually are, and operating from that place. That will save you so much peace, so much energy, so much frustration, so much hurt. If you can just learn how to operate from seeing life as it actually is rather than what you wish it to be. Pain comes from resistance. Accepting what is, even when it's difficult, opens the door to peace. Acceptance doesn't mean it's an easy, happy-go-lucky. Acceptance oftentimes is more harder to do than resisting, right? It is difficult, but you have to understand that usually what's harder in the moment leads to greater rewards to come. Usually what's harder in the moment leads to more peace and more clarity in the future, right? So accepting what is, even when it's difficult, it opens the door to peace. That's what allows peace to come in rather than resisting it. And then when there's no peace, you get mad that there's no peace, and then you add more resistance, more frustration, more turmoil, more stress. And it's a very, very, very negative cycle you can get into, all because you're resisting accepting life for what it is. You're resisting accepting this person for who they are. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. Whew. We're going to move with the flow of life rather than opposing the flow of life. And that's what acceptance and surrender is, right? That's true wisdom. Understanding, okay, there's a flow that each and every one of us is moving on. And rather than resisting it, I'm going to have the wisdom to understand that resistance brings more pain. It brings more discontent. It brings more hurt. So I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to go with the flow of life. Even though it might be difficult in the moment, because sometimes going with the flow of life means you have to let go of certain people, let go of certain relationships, let go of certain habits, let go of certain perspectives. That's not easy to do, but because we're moving on a path of alignment and authenticity and operating from our highest self, we're going to flow with life because we understand that to get to those places, to be the best version of ourselves, we must flow with life rather than resist the flow. Come on. Accept what is, release what was, and trust what will be. Come on. So often we can't accept what is because we're still emotionally attached to what was. Or so often we can't accept what is because we're incredibly anxious and wanting to control what will be rather than just trusting. Accept what is, release what was, trust what will be. Very simple. Some steps to implement radical acceptance. Notice your resistance to situations and name the feelings involved. That's beautiful. Notice when you feel resistance in certain situations and take a pause to really reflect on, where is this resistance coming from? What am I feeling in this moment? What is going on around me that is causing this resistance, right? Just that in itself, right there, if you can practice that, doing that on a everyday basis to the best of your ability, right? And you just work towards building it up day by day, your life will change. I'm telling you it will. And talk to yourself, truly talk to yourself, even if it's out loud, I don't care. What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling so much resistance? What is going on in my life right now? Who am I around? Why is this situation so hard to navigate? Talk to yourself like this and give yourself the space to figure it out and to hear, right? You don't need to figure everything out right now. You don't need to control everything in your life. So often we just need to ask the right questions and the right answers will come in. Remind yourself that acceptance does not mean approval. Whew. We're not accepting disrespect. We're not accepting people overstepping our boundaries. No, we're accepting the current situation as it is, and then we're making aligned decisions from that. We're making an aligned response from that. But acceptance doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean we're just going to approve of what people do and just hope for the best. No, you're accepting what is, and then you're making an aligned response based off of that. Practice mindfulness techniques to stay grounded in the present. That's so true. If you want to really, really learn how to accept life for what it is, you have to learn how to be present. So you need to implement things that can help you to be present. You need to focus on working on being present throughout your day. When you're talking to somebody, really focus in that moment to listen in what they're saying, not grabbing your phone, not being on your phone. When you're going for a walk, really be present and focus on what's around you and looking at the scenery. When you wake up, really focus on being present and waking yourself up and doing your morning routine rather than just going grabbing your phone and checking social media and stuff, right? There's so many moments throughout your day where you could practice presence, but we get so caught up in everything going around. And then when we look up and we try to bring some presence into our life, it's 11 p.m. So find mindfulness techniques that help you to stay grounded in the present. Meditation, journaling, going for a walk, having awareness throughout your day. Right? Breath work. It could be anything. It could be anything. Anything you can bring presence to. Number 5 says, focus on your inner peace rather than external circumstances. Prioritize your inner peace rather than what's going on around you. Come on. Peace comes from within. When you let others be who they are, you shift your focus from managing the uncontrollable to nurturing your inner calm. Let people and things be what they are. Focus on what you have control over. And that is how you cultivate inner peace. So much of our inner turmoil comes from us constantly trying to control things we have zero control over. You don't have control over everything that happens to you. You don't have control over every outcome in your life. You don't have control over what people say or what they think or what they do. You don't have control over all of these external things, but you do have control over your attitude, your perspective, your daily decisions, what you choose to do in this moment. And if you just shift your focus to focusing more on the things that you do have control over rather than the things that you don't have control over, that is how you cultivate inner peace and mental clarity, right? True freedom comes when your peace is no longer dependent on external situations or people. Whew. This is deep, man. This is deep. True freedom comes when your peace is no longer dependent on external situations or people. So often we put our peace on the opposite end of something external happening. Once I get this thing, then I'll be at peace. Once I attain this thing, then I'll be at peace. Once I become this, then I'll be at peace. Once I get with this person, then I'll be at peace. Stop putting your peace on all of these external things, because whether you realize it or not, you're giving your power away. And peace is something that comes from within yourself. So tell me if it makes sense to put something that comes from within dependent on something external. No, peace is something that you cultivate right here. It's not something you get from out here. What you do out here, right? The way you navigate this world is a reflection of what is going on in here. So if you really, really learn how to cultivate inner peace, that is how you're going to start navigating the things of this external world. That is how the things of this external world are going to enhance your peace, rather than feeling like the things of the external world are your peace. It's a very big difference. It is a very, very big difference, right? So, and one of the ways to practice cultivating inner peace is allowing things to be as they are, allowing people to be who they are, and focusing on what you have control over, which is, if you go to the mirror right now, it's the person staring back at you. That is the only thing that you have control over, and that is it. Nothing else. Focus on that. Focus on that beautiful person, right? Focus on that beautiful person. It says, let them, and watch how much more calm your life becomes. Let them. Like I said, let them. Let them say what they want to say. Let them judge. Let them complain. Let them have their perspectives. Let them have their attitude. Let them have their beliefs. Let them do what they want to do. And just focus on you. And watch how much more calm and much more peaceful your life becomes. It says, peace begins where expectations end. That is a bar. So often, our lack of peace comes from us constantly having expectations for what people should do or what should happen in our life, rather than just releasing the expectations, because you have no control over the outcome. So expecting things to go a certain way or expecting people to do a certain thing is literally giving your peace away. You have no control over that. But rather focus on cultivating inner peace and then accepting things for what they are and navigating it from that place, rather than having expectations and attaching ourselves to those outcomes. And then when things don't go that way, we create more resistance in our life and we think something's going wrong, and then we try to fight the flow, right? We try to fight the flow. We try to fight the stream, and it creates so much stress. You don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. And the crazy thing, one of the biggest things I've learned about expectations is a lot of times our expectations get in the way of the blessings that God is really trying to bring into our life. Sometimes our expectations actually get in the way of the blessings and opportunities that God is trying to bring into our life, because we get so emotionally attached to what we expect to happen. We get so emotionally attached to a certain outcome, and we get so fixated on that. And so often, the blessing and the opportunity is over here. But we can't see it, and we're not allowing it in because we're so fixated on what we think. Sometimes you just got to release, let go, and let God. Trust the process. Trust in divine timing. Trust in divine intervention. Trust in the flow of the universe, and everything will be okay. Some steps to implement Number 5, which is focusing your peace, your inner peace focusing on your inner peace rather than external circumstances. Some steps to implement: set daily intentions to focus on your own growth and inner peace. Set that as a daily intention. So if you set that in the morning, now it's in your mind and you're constantly thinking about it as you go throughout your day, right? You go into a situation, you get involved with a person, conversation, whatever it is, and you're always going to be prioritizing your growth and your inner peace, right? So you have the awareness to move that way. And that's what the importance of intentions are. Intentions are the gas to the vehicle. They're the thing that gets you going in the right direction or gets you moving, right? So set those daily intentions. Today, I want to prioritize inner peace. Today, I want to prioritize letting go of the things that I have no control over and focusing more on the things that I do have control over, right? Set these intentions and really work with yourself. Understand you're not going to be perfect, right? And when you do make a mistake, maybe you do try to control something you don't have control over, have the awareness to catch it, have self-compassion so you don't beat yourself up, and then just bring yourself right back on track with intention and take the next right step. And everything will work itself out. Come on. It says limit exposure to people or situations that disturb your peace. You need to understand who you're around when you don't feel good, right? When you're not feeling as, at peace and you're around certain people, be aware of who those people are. Who are those groups of people, and do your best to start navigating in a different way so you're not around those people constantly, right? Really, really be mindful of the situations that disturb your peace and do your best to navigate in a way that you're not getting involved in those situations, right? This is living intentionally. It says create rituals that center you, such as meditation and gratitude journaling, right? I like to call these the grains, right? If you follow me on my personal Instagram, you probably saw a story where I put grains and then it says grains are the things that keep you grounded, keep you authentic, keep you aligned, whatever it may be. You have to create a ritual of daily grains that help you stay aligned, grounded, and authentic, right? That could be journaling. That could be exercise. That could be reading, meditating. That could be going for a walk. That could be talking to a certain person. That could be a cup of coffee, a nice cup of tea, right? It could be, if you're a woman, it could be a makeup, right? It could be anything, right? Whatever it may be, the grains are the things, the daily grains are the things that help you stay grounded. So create a ritual of daily grains that keeps you centered, that keeps you grounded, that keeps you aligned and authentic. Come on. Number 6, it says recognize that everyone is on their own journey. Each person's growth happens on their own timeline. Trying to force someone to change before they are ready only creates frustration and resistance. How many of us need to hear this? Each person's growth is on their own timeline. So often when we grow, we think everybody around us should be growing at the same pace. Understand everybody is on their own unique timeline. So trying to force someone to change the way you're changing is only going to cause frustration and resistance. You have to let people live their life. You have to let people grow at their own pace, right? And sometimes letting them grow at their own pace means you have to let go of the relationship, because so often their growth and your growth, their journey and your journey can take you in two opposite directions. And what happens usually is because we have such emotional attachments to each other, when we hit that point where I got to keep going this way, you got to keep going that way, because I'm so emotionally attached to you, I do everything in my power to get you to be with me, to get you to be with me. And then I start to have resentment towards you because I feel like you're not listening, you're not growing, you're not trying to be better. But no, y'all are on different paths, right? Y'all are two unique individuals. You have to learn how to let people grow on their own unique timeline. And you have no idea what God is doing in their life. So don't get in the way of what God is doing in their life because you think you know what's best for them, because you want to get them to change and want to get them to grow. Let that go. That is not your responsibility. It says growth happens on its own time. Trust the process and allow others the space to evolve. You have to let others have that space to evolve on their own unique journey without feeling the need to get in between that and want to change them. Understand, people do not change for other people. People change for themselves. So if somebody does not want to change for themselves, nothing you do is going to make them change. And understanding that will give you so much more peace and mental clarity, because you'll understand it's not my job to try to force this person to change or see life a certain way. I need to let them live their life, and I need to focus on living mine and trust that everything will work out from that place. So much more peace will come into your life. Ooh, this is fire. It says, don't push the river. It flows by itself. Imagine somebody going to a stream and trying to push the water in the other direction. Do you know how much resistance and how pointless that would be? And how frustrated that person would get? And that's literally what we do when we constantly try to change other people. We constantly try to get involved in other people's journeys of growth when they don't want that, right? Or they're not open to that, right? Or they're on a whole completely different path than us. It's literally like going to a river and trying to push it in the other direction. You can't do it. It's different if somebody's open to that, if they're coming to you for advice, if they're wanting to be better and they're getting around you and they're wanting to grow with you. That's different, right? Because they're opening the door for you to step in and help them. But most people, it ain't that. And we can't force people just because we love them, right? Just because we feel for them, just because we've been around them for so long. We cannot force them to change or to see life a certain way. You have to let them navigate their own journey and trust that they will be okay. But I'm not going to disturb my peace because I'm constantly trying to control somebody else or force somebody else to change. I've been there, done that. We ain't doing that. It says everyone blooms at their own pace. Simple. Some steps to implement that. Practice patience when others struggle to change. There's always an opportunity. When you see something in somebody, or you see how this person needs to change, or you feel like you know what's best for somebody, the opportunity is learning how to be patient with other people rather than feeling like they need to be on your time. Practice patience when others struggle to change, right? Everybody's different. Everybody comes from different places. Everybody has different experiences. Everybody has a different vessel, right? So be patient with other people. Even when they're struggling to change, when they're struggling to shift, even when they're messing up over and over and over again. Don't allow that to start to make you feel like they're just not trying to grow. Because everybody grows on their own pace. And some people just need some more encouragement, some more, pushing, some more help, some more support. So you have to learn how to be patient with people when they struggle to change. And then you have to have the awareness and the ability to say, okay, is this person even willing to change? Because if they're not, I need to step away. Right? I need to step away. It says encourage gently, but release attachment to outcomes. Learn how to encourage the people around you in a gentle and peaceful way rather than wanting it to be forced and pushed and create resistance. No, I'm going to encourage you gently, calmly, but I'm going to release my attachments to you listening to it. It's okay if you don't, because I know you're on your own unique journey and I got to do what's best for me, and you're going to do what you feel like is best for you in that moment. I got to be okay with that. Number 7. This will probably be the last one. Let me see. Hold on. We got 4 more. We're probably going to do one more. Let me see. We got 7. Yeah, we'll do this one. Last one, number 7. It says build emotional detachment for healthier relationships and situations. Emotional detachment does not mean disinterest. It means maintaining boundaries while showing compassion. It creates space for healthier, more respectful connections. That's beautiful, right? Being detached does not mean you're not acting interested. You're acting like you don't care. No, it's just maintaining boundaries while showing compassion and empathy for that person. But I'm going to make sure that these boundaries are set in place, right? And that's what being detached means, right? You don't want to be attached to people. You want to be connected to people. Boundaries allow for connection. Lack of boundaries create attachment, right? And so you got to really maintain those boundaries from a place of love, compassion, empathy, right? And operate from that place. And that is how you connect with people without feeling emotionally attached to them, so that when it is time, right, because not every relationship is in your life forever. When it is time to go separate ways, you're able to do that gracefully rather than feeling like you're losing a part of yourself because you have an attachment to this person or to this thing, right? Healthy relationships thrive on acceptance and autonomy, not control or dependency. Whoo! Healthy relationships operate on acceptance and autonomy. What does that mean? That means I'm going to accept this person for who they are, and I'm going to let them be who they are, rather than wanting to control who they are and then being dependent on this other person for my peace, for my happiness, for my joy. Very, very different thing. And when you have two people who are rooted in acceptance and allowing the other person to be truly themselves, that's where a real connection happens, right? Rather than a unhealthy attachment because you guys are trying to control each other, because you guys have become emotionally dependent on each other, right? Very, very different vibe. It says true connection is loving someone for who they are, not who we want them to be. You need to learn how to love people for who they actually are, not who we want them to be. Connection comes from loving people for who they actually are. Attachment comes from loving the idea of what we want them to be or we wish them to be. It's a very, very different thing. And if you want to cultivate healthy connections in your life, you need to learn how to love people for who they actually are. And how do you do that in a relationship? That means both of you have to prioritize being authentically all of who you are, showing all your sides, being vulnerable from day one so that you can understand, is this connection aligned or not? But I want to love you for who you actually are, right? I don't want to be attached to a version or a picture of what I want you to be and try to love you from that. Because when you're not that, what is that going to cause? Resistance, frustration, discontent, disconnection. Detachment is not indifference. It's about having enough self-love to let others walk their own path. Detachment is not about indifference. It's not about acting like you don't care. It's not about, being like, oh, this is, no. It's about having enough self-love to let others walk their own path. I'm detached from needing to change somebody. I'm detached from needing to force people to do certain things. I'm detached from trying to shift somebody's point of view or mindset or argue to death with them. I'm detached from that. I'm going to let them be themselves. Yeah. Steps to implement. It says recognize your need to control or fix others. It says recognize your need to control or fix others. Recognize if there's certain people in your life where you have a desire to control or fix them. Recognize that, right? There's certain people in my life where I really realize that, okay, I'm trying to control or force this person to do certain things. That is not my role, and I need to take a step back. I'm not going to beat myself up for it. You're not going to beat yourself up for it, but recognize your need to control or fix certain people in your life and start operating from the awareness of seeing that, right? And understand I don't have control over what they do, and I need to let them be them. Set clear emotional boundaries. Set clear emotional boundaries. Be very, very intentional with the boundaries that you set. Protect your heart. Guard your heart above all else. Shout out to my mom. She's been telling me that for the longest. Above all else, son, guard your heart. That means implementing healthy emotional boundaries, right? Because a lot of times we confuse what we think as boundaries as really walls that block people off. Boundaries are not to block people off. They're to guard your heart and to allow the right people in and to have the awareness of when somebody isn't for you or when somebody isn't respecting your boundaries and operate from that place. They're not out here to close people off. That's not what they do. That's not what they do. It says practice compassionate detachment by offering support without attachment. Practice offering support to people without attachment, the attachment to them taking it or them using it. It's okay if they don't want it, right? But be compassionate, offer it. If they don't want it, I love you anyway. It's okay. My love is not contingent on you taking my advice or taking my support. That's not why I love you. I love you for you. I love you for you. And sometimes this is the tough thing about true love. Sometimes love is going to require you to step away from somebody, right? Because love is doing what's best for them and what's best for you. And sometimes what's best for them and what's best for you is y'all not being around each other anymore. But are you willing to make those decisions? Because remember, love is not easy. Sometimes love is going to require you to make very, very difficult decisions. But if you want to live a life rooted in love, rooted in authenticity, rooted in alignment, you have to be willing to make decisions that may be incredibly uncomfortable or incredibly difficult in the moment. But sometimes that is what love is going to require from you. Are you willing to do that, right? And I'm not going to go into the next three, but I'm just going to read what they say, right? Number 8 says, trust that natural consequences will teach the necessary lessons. Trust that people will learn what they need to learn naturally. You don't need to teach them. Boom. Number 9, stop personalizing others' choices and reactions. People's decisions reflect their own values and circumstances, not your worth. Taking things personally leads to unnecessary suffering. Stop. Oh, excuse me. My thing almost went down. Sorry, the mic was dropping. But yeah, understand that people's decisions reflect their own values and circumstances, not your own worth. Stop personalizing over their choices and reactions and thinking that's you. Let it go. And then number 10 says, embrace freedom by living in alignment with your truth. True freedom in life comes from you living aligned and authentically. Very simple. Once you start really moving down that path of alignment and authenticity and operating from your highest self, you will feel free, right? Because that's a very freeing journey. That's a very liberating journey. In order to be authentic and aligned, you have to let go of the things that isn't you and step into the things that are you. That is a very liberating thing, right? The first step of the liberation is letting go of the things that aren't you, right? And that in itself is going to create freedom. But then stepping into the things that are you from a place of connection rather than attachment creates even more freedom and more peace. And that's a beautiful place to operate. And it's not about getting everything right. It's not about being perfect. But like we always say, if you have awareness, if you have intention, and if you take everything with a grain of salt, you absolutely can live aligned and authentically, my brothers and sisters. So that's going to do it for this episode. We are going to let people do what they want to do. We're going to let people have their opinions. We're going to let people have their mindset, have their attitude. Let people make the choices and decisions that they want to make. We are going to let them, and we're going to do what's right for us. We're going to live authentically and aligned. We're going to control what we have control over. And we're going to keep moving in the right direction, one day at a time, with a grain of salt. I will catch you guys next week. Love y'all.